Hey everyone, the numbers are in for Palmetto Trace in Panama City Beach for September 2021. The real estate market is showing some signs of shifting in some places. So I want to do a really deep dive on pricing and the overall market for you. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group over at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Let's get right to some of these numbers. First of all, let's look at the overall market. Some of the things we've been tracking week to week, some of the metrics we've been tracking are right here. So we're always tracking the number of homes that are for sale at any given point. We're tracking the number of new homes that come to the market, meaning a new listing that comes up for sale in any given week. We're also counting the number of new contracts that are being written. Obviously, a really good way to look into the future is to see how many contracts are written. So if we're writing a ton of contracts this week, you would expect 30 or 45 days from now to have a ton of closings. If we're writing fewer contracts, then we may have fewer closing. That's a sign of the market turning. And we're, of course, also looking at the number of actual sales or actual closings. So let's take a look at a couple of things on the market for May and then also this year. So first of all, the number of houses for sale. Think about this. If a buyer wants to go out and search for something to buy, the number of active homes for sale or the number of listings available is going to tell us a lot about what's going on in the market. So in May of this year, look at the number of homes that were for sale. This is a number comparing it to the same time last year. So we had 57% fewer homes available for sale, 60% fewer, 64%, 61, down 56%. If a buyer was going out in May in 2020, they had 60% more homes to choose from. In May of this year, they had almost 60% in some cases less choice. So obviously that's more pressure on a buyer. That's why the market's part of the reason why the market's been so hot. So let's look and see what's happening in September. We're still less than we were a year ago. So this is comparing the same time now in these weeks of September to the year before. We're down 20%, 16%, 18%, 23%, 25%. So we're still in a somewhat lower inventory or less supply than we had this time last year. But when you compare it to May, you can see that there are some more homes for sale in the market. We were down, high 50s, 60% down, and now we're only 20-ish% down. So that number's going up. There are a few more homes for sale. Buyers have a few more choices. Let's look in May at the next one. The number of new listings that were coming to the market in May of this year were down 42, down 4, down 58, down 10, and up 44 in that month. September, similar story. We're up 44 and up 78, but then down 8, down 50, down 14%. So 4% off for the month. So we're not seeing a ton of new inventory, not a ton of new supply coming to the market, which could be a sign that things are still staying somewhat similar to where they have been. If we look at the number of new contracts being written, in May, the numbers look like this. We wrote 24% more new contracts in the first week of May, 18% more. We were off 12, then we were up 3, and we were down 17. In September, pretty similar story, really. We were down 17, then up 23, down 20, up 20, down 24. Maybe there's a little bit more to the negative. Maybe we're off just a little bit. When you average it out for the month, we're actually up 5%. So pretty steady there, which is encouraging. Then the number of actual closings. This one is a little bit different. We had 150% more new closings or more closings happening in the first week of May than we had the previous year. Then it was 133, up 20, up 50, up 41. In September, a little bit different story. We had 12% more, 12% more, 37% more, but then we had 24% fewer and 54% fewer. So all of a sudden we have, for the first time in a long time, we're seeing less closings happening. And maybe we're seeing a few less transactions being written. So maybe the market could be showing signs that it's slowing just a touch, but we've been so incredibly hot that it may not really be noticeable yet. Certainly shouldn't get into affecting pricing as of yet. If anything, we might just be slowing down this massive appreciation that we've been having. One more look at the overall market, and then we'll go into Palmetto Trace specifically. Remember, this chart's one of my favorites. The red line represents the number of units for sale, and the black line represents the number of closings. So you can see from about the beginning of the pandemic, and if you look at it through the eyes of a buyer, for example, well, seller too, buyers are going out and having almost every month have fewer and fewer homes to be able to choose from. So say you have a serious buyer really wants to buy a home, they go out and look and they can't find anything for a week or two. Well, 2 or 3 weeks later, they have even less choice. And then a month later, there's even fewer homes for sale. And that trend has still been continuing. There's a real slight uptick here, and that's what we saw in the those past spreadsheets. We have a few more homes coming up for sale in the last few months, but we certainly don't see a massive trend upward yet like we do in the condo market. The condo market in the last 3 or 4 months, the inventory levels have really moved up dramatically. Here in housing, it's not so much. You guys know I almost chuckle every time I say this, but this months of inventory number is really important to understand. It gives us a really good idea of hot and cold market, buyer-seller market. The idea of months of inventory is taken from, we're looking at a couple of different numbers wrapped up into that one number, but essentially the theory behind months of inventory is that it would take 4 or 5 months to work through the process, or 4 or 5 months. Let me explain it better. 4 or 5 months of inventory traditionally has meant a neutral market, not a very heavy buyer's market, not a very heavy seller's market. And the idea comes from the timing of how long it would normally take to go from seller calling real estate office getting the marketing going, working on the house, arranging for showings, negotiating contracts, and closing. That whole process to go from calling the real estate office through to closing would take 4 or 5 months normally. So if our months of inventory number is less than 4 or 5, that means things are happening faster. There's more demand. That's where you're in seller market territory. And just the opposite, obviously, if the number goes higher. Well, look at where the housing market's been. You know, outside of, if we go all the way back to April, which is the month after the pandemic hit, we were at 6 months of inventory, 6.25. And that was the first time we really have been over 3 or 4 in a very long time. And look how good the housing market's been since then. Look at June. We're in the 2 months of inventory through January. Early this year, we're at 1.78, 1.01. In May and June, we actually dipped below 1 month of inventory, which if you consider that, that would mean theoretically that all the houses that were for sale would sell and close in less than a month. That's how hot the market was. And I should point out, this chart only is looking at homes up to 500,000. I want to kind of compare just apples to apples for Palmetto Trace. We're still sitting July, August, and September at 1.15, 1.36, 1.24. That's a very, very strong housing market in this price range. That's a very strong seller's market, if anything. I would contend we can still price a little bit aggressive. Anybody who's thinking about selling, the market is still very, very good. This is Palmetto Trace specifically. This is including both detached single family and the townhome section. Numbers will bounce around a little bit because there's just less data to pick from, but if you look at that months of inventory number again here and just go through this column, you can see that the numbers are very, very low. In Palmetto Trace, we're still under 1 month of inventory. Not much competition if you're a seller. If you're thinking about selling, it's a good time to be doing that. You can price a little more aggressive. You just don't have that much competition. So look at pricing specifically. Since I haven't done this in a couple of months, I'm going to go back 2 months. So these are all of the sales that have happened in August and September. So in the townhome section, 145 Park Place closed at 260. We had another 2-bedroom close at 260. We had another one close at 265. These are still all townhomes. We had one of the 3-bedrooms close at 266. We had a 2-bedroom close at 276. Getting into the 3-bedrooms, Brunswick 203 Brunswick closed at 355. These are, I'm sorry, detached single families. A 3-bedroom for 355 closed. Another 3-bedroom closed at 389, and another 3-bedroom closed at 525. If you look at what's for sale and what's under contract currently. Look at all the under contracts again. The townhomes are very popular. They're selling very, very quickly. These are all asking prices here. So in these townhome section, the first two 3-bedroom townhomes are for sale for $299 and $299, and are both under contract. 106 Biltmore is a 3-bedroom that's asking $395, $678. It's under contract. 501 Bainbridge is asking $415. It's under contract. 435 Biltmore, or I'm sorry, 213 Biltmore is asking $435. It's under contract. 108 Bainbridge is asking $479. It's under contract. The one thing you might not see here, or that you don't see here, is anything that's for sale. So I've just been through about 8 or 9 of the condo projects, and it's a very, very different story in the condo market. There are plenty of buildings where certainly there are some units for sale. There are a couple of buildings where there are a lot of units for sale, and units are starting to sit. It's not the story here in Palmetto Trace. There isn't anything for sale as of today. So if you're thinking about selling, and the timing works for you, it's a real excellent time, knowing that buyers don't have any choices, and Palmetto Trace remains popular because of the location and some other reasons. If you're trying to keep up with the market and the pricing in the market, remember, if you're not signed up for our e-alert system, I know most of you are, but our e-alert system is this is the best system I've seen since I started selling real estate in 2003 to help people stay up with the market. This will, anytime a house or a townhome comes up for sale, changes price, goes under contract, or sells, you'll receive an email. And we can set this up so you receive an email anytime anything happens in Palmetto Trace. If you only want it once a week or once a month, we can set it up for you that way. Very accurate system. It's coming straight from our realtor system. You don't especially the dates or the sale prices. The sale prices and the sale dates are very, very accurate. It's not what your neighbor says he sold the house for, what she said she sold the house for. It's the actual price. So if you're interested in staying up with a market like that, as we see some shifts happening across the real estate world, just shoot me a text to 850-527-0221. I'll set you up. There's no obligation. There's no charge. It's just I like having good, real information, accurate information out there. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We'll get you signed up. And we see some shifts happening in some other markets and some other price points. So I'm really going to make sure over the next few months to give you a deep dive on pricing for Palmetto Trace every month, just so that we can stay on top of things and see if anything's happening going into the spring market. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're well. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.